Violence, the cornerstone of human society.
Hey, do you wanna fight me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Since the dawn of man, we've strived to make violence more convenient. Back in the old days, we used to fight with hands and feet. Then we discovered sticks and stones, and you know how the saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but they hurt like a bitch. But then some fucking despicable genius found out that with enough fire, we could make these weapons called swords, which hurt even more like a bitch.
My dick fell off!
Fast forward to 2002, we made these tiny weapons that can fit inside these boxes, that could be put inside these big ass weapons that shoot the tiny weapons. What the fuck? Then we made nukes because we got bored. But there's no need for these toys anymore, or at least to the extent that we used to use them. The world is more civilized, more mundane, and what little violence happened in our life gets dealt with by other people. But there is a secret place, and now don't tell anyone that I told you this, but if you look in the deep dark web, you will find this place called media, where you will discover an escape from the mundane, and an entry point to fucking badass shit. Fight scenes or action scenes are so damn cool. Not only do they allow us to see some badass shit, but they also allow us to feel like the characters. Because it puts them in a primal situation where they either have to fight or get the fuck out of there. And it's just cathartic to see two dudes beating the shit out of each other. And today, I'm gonna be doing that.
So you do wanna fight me?
No, John, I said no. Today I'm gonna be talking about fight scenes and demonstrating to you some of the best ones I've ever seen. Hope you get your popcorn, cause today I'm gonna be talking about fight scenes. But first, we gotta ask ourselves, what is a fight scene? A fight scene is just that, a scene, with the added bonus of showing despicably cool shit. But some people tend to forget that, and think that it's just an excuse to show cool shit, and will make a fight scene with no significance to the story at all. A scene has to work in your story. If it doesn't, then your story suffers. I like to think of a fight scene as a dialogue between two characters. Why would two characters talk to each other? Why would they have disagreements between each other? This type of thinking also goes for fight scenes as well. Why are the two characters fighting in the first place? An example of a fight scene ignoring this is any of the Transformer fight scenes. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty badass. For everything wrong Michael Bay gets, he knows how to craft cool looking action. But give me any story significance to those scenes. Yeah, you can't!
Hey, shut up, I'm trying to sleep.
Sorry, Mom. To simplify, you gotta make sure that your fight scene fits within your movie and enhances the story. So, to start this video off, let's talk about Creed. Creed is a shining example of a fight scene fitting within your story, because that is the story, fighting. And Creed has some damn good fight scenes, but the one I'm focusing on is the final fight. Most of the fight scenes don't really mean much. For example, the first time we see Creed fight is from a low angle with a wide shot. Then he lost this fight. And this fight was only in one take, mainly showing the fighters from waist up. Not saying that these fight scenes are bad, but they're clearly not as important as the final one. They're more like stepping stones for Creed's first pro fight, which evidently happens at the end of the movie. Anyway, bitches, I'm sick and tired of talking. Let's get into the fight itself.
As the fight goes on.
Automatically, this makes us go, shit! As it's the opponent who gives out the first punch, not Creed. But Creed does get to throw out some punches and he's fucked. Oh shit! How is he still alive? That one shot right there pretty much sums up our entire experience with the first round, and basically tells us, shit! That hurt like a bitch. Establishing a fight scene is important as it allows us to understand what the fight is gonna be like. Is it a one-sided bitch match? Is it a match when one absolute unit fights a bunch of despicable bitches? Or is it an even match? It's also very important to do this as it allows us to be invested in the fight. So far, Creed is having his back blown out. And at this point, we feel despair since Creed hasn't landed any good hits. Or has he?
There's a perfect right hand shot by Creed. Yes!
Breaking the establishment allows us to feel intensely hyped and makes us respond to the change by going,
kick his ass, Creed, kick his ass!
The constant change in who's on top of the fight allows us to get involved with the scene. But sometimes you gotta just reel it back down, calm it down, and then you go into some action. The breaks in Rocky allow us to relax, much in the same way as Creed is relaxing. And it also allows us to strategize in the same way that Creed is strategizing with Rocky. And when Rocky's giving out advice and it actually works, we feel so relieved in the same way the characters do. But when Creed gets hurt, we feel the same way they do. They also have the potential of getting us hyped. When Rocky says this,
I gotta prove it. Prove what? I'm not a mistake.
Look at me. I never got a chance to thank Apollo for helping me out after Mickey died. But it's nothing compared to what you've done. You taught me how to fight again, and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna fight this thing. But if I fight, I want you to fight too. I want you to go across this ring and knock that son of a bitch down. Can you do it? Say it.
I'm gonna knock that son of a bitch down.
I know you are. You know why? Because you're a Creed, and I love you, kid.
Come on.
Go get him.
coupled with the music, it makes it so beautiful. After all of that hype and all that build-up and punches after punches, it all culminates to this one final hit that makes us go, fuck yes!
Alright, mom's fucking sleeping. What's wrong with you?
Conlon is down. That is the first time in his career.
I think it's very important to think about the why in your action scene, rather than going straight in with the kicks and punches. But once you thought of your reason as to why, then you can get into some cool shit. And there's no other man who can make cool shit happen than the man himself, Jackie Chan.
What's up, my nigga?
Jackie Chan is the absolute master in showing cool shit. I mean, look at him right now. Look at this shit. Oh my days. Who the fuck hates this? Oh my god. Are they fighting on a fucking cow? Balance is an important thing in action. Having a wide shot all the time makes your action look stiff and awkward. And no matter how many crunchy sound effects you add in, it still doesn't make... Fuck's sake. It's still just a scene with one guy awkwardly sticking his limbs out. And cutting too much makes your action look really confusing. Now sometimes that could be to your effect. Maybe your character is in a despicable war, so having constant cuts makes us feel overwhelmed in the same way our character's feeling. But if your action scene is just two dudes fighting, this is not acceptable. I mean, for fuck's sake, you might as well just not show the action at all. Just cut to black and boom, you're done. John, stop. So you need a perfect balance between showing the action and cutting to the action. And Jackie Chan understands this completely. If the action is just two dudes throwing hits out, then just show the fucking action, you bitch. If your character actually hits someone or has the potential to do massive damage, then cut to that bitch and emphasize it. Oh shit! Emphasis is hugely important, as it allows us to gauge who is winning the fight, and whose hits hurt like a bitch. The 2-in-1 hit. The 2-in-1 hit is a hit that combines a wide shot hit and a close-up hit. What you will notice is that this concept doesn't match continuity, as by the time it cuts to the close-up, Jackie would have already hit the bastard, but they're only used to emphasize a really powerful hit, and allows us as the reader to go, "Ooh, that hurt." And what's more powerful, 2 hits or 1 hit? Come on. You're not stupid like my brother John.
What'd you say?
Oh shit. Another thing that Jackie does that sets him apart is creativity. He can fight with a fucking chair, a ladder, a camera, and a tripod, and a fucking fridge. Are they fighting on a fuck? If Creed is a dialogue between 2 units, then Jackie Chan is a monologue of an absolute unit. Now, besides fighting with a ladder, there are other ways to make creativity in a fight. And one of the most famous ways is through a power system. Power systems are basically rules that involve some kind of superpower. Now, usually, the more lenient your rules are, the more spectacle your power system allows. For example, One Punch Man is as basic as one guy is strong and another guy is just a tad bit stronger. You following this? This allows for some goddamn amazing spectacle, with so much cool shit that will blow your dick off. But there are a couple power systems that have very strict rules, but still allow for some cool shit. The Nen system is so complex and strict, and yet this shit can happen. What? But I forgot how the Nen system works, so I'm gonna be talking about JoJo's.
Is that a fucking JoJo's reference, Ned?
When are you gonna go college? JoJo fights have so much creativity to them, because the power system in the show allows for some cool, bizarre, creative, and fucking terrifying uses of power. This range of diverse stand powers create for unique situations which test our characters. One example I like the most from the show has to be Dio versus Jotaro. One thing that a power system like JoJo's makes you do is strategize. And strategize in the same vein as the breaks in Creed, only consistently strategizing. And strategizing with powers as cool and unique as stands. When your characters have to fight someone like Dio with a stand that is pretty powerful, one has to be smart. And there are so many times where Jotaro has to think about any counters for the world. And much like Jotaro has to think of a strategy, we also have to think of a strategy. This type of power system allows for mind games and demands our attention, allowing us to be invested in the fight and, in my opinion, has a little bit more investment than just two guys fighting. That is the power of a good power system. And while you can still craft amazing action with a power system that isn't like JoJo's or Hunter x Hunter, it's still another layer of fight scenes that you can think about. Most of the fight scenes I've talked about make you feel badass, but in a spectator way. With Creed and JoJo, they allow us to strategize with the characters, but they don't make us feel like Spider-Man. Wait, no, that's wrong. They make you feel cool and badass, but they don't allow you to be in the shoes of the characters, at least to the fullest extent. But one fight scene that does this the best, in my opinion, is the church scene from The Kingsman.
Ned, that's fucking easy to talk about, man. Come on, seriously.
Shut the fuck up, John.
What the fuck did you say?
This fight scene is alright, I guess. Not only with the choreography, but how it makes you feel badass. Now, what is a Kingsman? Well, a Kingsman is some absolute unit, despicably badass UK spy. So a fight scene involving that character has to make you feel badass. But the movie not only makes you feel badass, it also puts you in the shoes of the Kingsman. And there's some pretty nice shoes, I ain't gonna lie. For starters, the camera is at a high angle, constantly focusing on the Kingsman. This makes us feel on top of the action in the same way the Kingsman is on top of the whole exchange. We also see new developments and exchanges the same time the Kingsman sees it. When new bitches or weapons pop up, we don't see them beforehand. When the Kingsman gets stabbed, we don't see the build up to it. Look at this. The Kingsman gets shot, then it pans to the shooter, then it goes to this response. All of those combined allow us to feel badass, which is exactly what a Kingsman is. In conclusion, I really love fight scenes. They're an amazing way to show cool action whilst telling a decent story. But if you take anything away from this video, take this. Action scenes are cool, but remember, they're also scenes at the end of the day. Ned.
Kick, punch, punch, jump, tap, block. Once more now.